Hello everybody. In this lesson, we will learn about the division algorithm for polynomials. But before we get into understanding how we divide polynomials, let us brush up some of the previous concepts which we have learned about polynomials. We know that when the degree of the polynomial is 2, it has at most 2 zeros. For example, now this is a quadratic polynomial. The degree of this polynomial is 2. So it has at most 2 zeros. Now, look at this. 5x cubed plus 8x plus 9 or 8x squared plus 9x plus 5. The degree of this polynomial is 3. So at most it has 3 zeros. We already learned how to figure out the zeros of a polynomial. We also learned that suppose in general, if a is the zero of a polynomial, then x minus a will be the factor of that polynomial. We have learned this. If a is a zero of a polynomial, then x minus a is the factor of that polynomial. Now the question is, let's take a cubic polynomial. If we have 1 zero of the polynomial, can we find the other 2 zeros? Yes. But how do we go about finding the other 2 zeros? We will see it by taking one example. Let's take this cubic polynomial, x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3. One of the zeros is given as 1. Can we find out the other 2 zeros of this polynomial? Yes. How do we go about doing this? First of all, if one of the zeros is 1, we know that the factor is going to be x minus 1. Now what we will do is we will take this cubic polynomial and divide it by its factor x minus 1. X cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3. Now let's learn the division process of dividing one polynomial by another polynomial. The first step is take the highest degree term of the dividend, which is x cubed, divided by the highest degree term of the divisor, which is x. So where do we land up? It's x squared. So this will be the first term of our quotient. And we carry on the division process. X squared times x is x cubed. And x squared times negative 1 is minus x squared. We subtract them. This is going to be minus and plus. Cancels. Minus 3x squared plus x squared is going to be minus 2x squared. Bring down the other two terms as it is. Minus x plus 3. Now to find out the second term of the quotient, we continue the process. Now take the highest degree term of the new dividend, which is minus 2x squared, divided by the highest degree term of the divisor, which is x. We land up with minus 2x. So this will be the second term of our quotient. And we carry on the division process. Minus 2x times x is minus 2x squared. Minus 1 times minus 2x is plus 2x. And we subtract. This cancels. Minus x minus 2x is minus 3x. And we bring down the other term. And we carry on the process. we take the highest degree term of the new dividend, which is minus 3x, divided by the highest degree term of the divisor, and we get minus 3. So this will be the third term of our quotient, minus 3. And we carry out the division process. X times minus 3 is minus 3x. Minus 1 times minus 3 is plus 3. We change the signs. In other words, we subtract and we get 0 as the remainder. So when we divide x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3 by x minus 1, we get the quotient x squared minus 2x minus 3. So we can write our cubic polynomial x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3 as equal to x minus 1 times x squared minus 2x minus 3. And of course, we know how to factorize this by splitting the middle term. In case if you have to review this, let's go ahead. We know the sum and the product. Remember that method? The sum happens to be the middle term, which is minus 2x, and the product is 1 times negative 3, which is minus 3. Now two numbers, if you multiply, you get 3, and if you add or subtract, you get negative 2. So the two numbers are 3 and 1. In order to get negative 2, obviously this has to be negative 3 and this has to be plus 1, because minus 3x plus 1x will give us negative 2x. So we know now we can split this term. X squared minus 2x can be split as plus 1x minus 3x and minus 3. Taking the common factor out, x is out, so we have x plus 1, and we remove minus 3 out, we have x plus 1, and x plus 1 is common in this, so we remove x plus 1 out and we are left with x minus 3. So now we can write x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3 as, we can write it as 3 factors: x minus 1, x plus 1 and x minus 3. So the zeros of this polynomial are, when x minus 1 is a factor, 1 is the 0. When x plus 1 is the factor, negative 1 is another 0. When x minus 3 is a factor, 3 is a 0. So this was given to us. We found out the other two zeros. So given a 0 of a polynomial, we can find the other zeros of the polynomial by first dividing the given polynomial by the factor of that polynomial. Let's divide 3x cubed plus x squared plus 2x plus 5 by 1 plus 2x plus x squared. We can rearrange the terms starting from the highest power and then going down through the lowest power. So 3x cubed plus x squared plus 2x plus 5. This needs to be divided by x squared plus 2x plus 1. We have learnt the division of polynomials. In order to find the first term of the quotient, we will take the highest degree term of the dividend, which is 3x cubed, and divide it by the highest degree term of the divisor, which is x squared. So we land up with 3x. This will be the first term of our quotient, 3x. and we carry out the division process. 3x times x squared is 3x cubed plus 3x times 2x is 6x squared plus 3x times 1 is 3x. Then we subtract. So we land up with x squared minus 6x squared is minus 5x squared. 2x minus 3x is minus 1x. And we bring down the other term plus 5. Now we can find out the second term of our quotient. Take the highest degree term of the new dividend, which is minus 5x squared, divided by the highest degree term of a divisor, which is x squared. We land up with minus 5, the second term of our quotient. So minus 5. Carry out the division process. Minus 5 times x squared minus 5x squared. Minus 5 times 2x is minus 10x. Minus 5 times 1 is minus 5. Subtract the terms and we get minus 1x plus 10x is 9x. 5 plus 5 is plus 10. Now the degree of this dividend is less than the degree of the divisor, so we stop. So the quotient is 3x minus 5. The remainder is 9x plus 10. This is how we divide one polynomial by another polynomial. We can write it in a general way as when p of x is divided by g of x, p of x is equal to g of x times the quotient polynomial q of x plus r of x. And the remainder r of x can be 0, and the degree of r of x will be less than the degree of g of x. This is called the division algorithm of the polynomials. Now let's look at this example. Don't worry about the example number 9, just focus on the problem. Find all the zeros of 2x to the power 4 minus 3x cubed minus 3x squared plus 6x minus 2 if you know that two of its zeros are root 2 and negative root 2. Now the question is, what is the degree of this polynomial? 4. So at most, how many zeros will this polynomial have? 4. Out of it, we know already 2 zeros. So we need to figure out what are the other 2 zeros of the polynomial. If root 2 and negative root 2 are the zeros of the polynomial, the factors will be x minus root 2 and x plus root 2. And this is in the form a minus b, a plus b, which is nothing but x squared minus root 2 squared, which is x squared minus 2. So this is one of the factors of this polynomial. In order to find the zeros, the other 2 zeros, we will divide the polynomial by its factor x squared minus 2. So let's begin the process of division. To find the first term of our quotient, we divide 2x to the power 4 by the highest degree term of the divisor, which is x squared. So we land up with 2x squared. So that will be the first term of our quotient. And carry on the division process. 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the power 4. Negative 2 times 2x squared is negative 4x squared. We will write it under the relevant degree term. negative 4x squared. We subtract, so this becomes minus and plus, cancels. We bring down this term as it is, minus 3x cubed, and this is minus 3x squared plus 4x squared is plus 1x squared, and we bring down the other two terms as it is. Now we can find out the second term of the quotient, minus 3x cubed divided by x squared, and we land up with minus 3x. So the second term of our quotient is minus 3x. So carry out the division process. 2x squared times negative 3x times x squared is negative 3x cubed. Negative 2 times negative 3x is 6x. We write down under the relevant degree term. Subtract. We get, bring down this as it is, and 6x minus 6x is 0, and bring down this. We continue the division process. The third term of our quotient, we divide x squared by x squared, which will be 1. So the third term of our quotient will be 1, and when we continue the division process and after subtracting the terms, the remainder is going to be 0. So we found out the quotient to be 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. So 2x to the power 4 minus 3x cubed minus 3x squared plus 6x minus 2 is going to be equal to x squared minus 2, the factor which we started with, times the quotient, which is 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Now, this is a quadratic polynomial. We can factor this polynomial by splitting the middle term, which we have already studied how to factor. The factors of this, when you split the middle term, will be 2x minus 1 times x minus 1. And of course, we will write down this as it is, x squared minus 2. So we know that the zeros of this polynomial will, this 2x minus 1 will be, x will be equal to half, and when x minus 1 is a factor, the 0 of this will be 1. We already know the two zeros of this, which is plus root 2 and minus root 2. So the four zeros of the polynomial are root 2, minus root 2, half, and 1. So when any one or two zeros of the polynomial are given, we can find the other zeros of the polynomial by dividing the polynomial and then, if necessary, factoring the quotient. Let's look at this. On dividing x cubed minus 3x squared plus x plus 2 by a polynomial g of x, the quotient and remainder were x minus 2 and negative 2x plus 4 respectively. Find g of x. So this happens to be the quotient q of x, and this is the remainder r of x. We know that when a polynomial p of x is divided by g of x, p of x is equal to g of x times q of x plus r of x. We know this. Now we need to just plug into this and do the normal algebra, but with regards to the polynomials. Let's see how we go about doing that. So x cubed minus 3x squared plus x plus 2 is equal to g of x times the quotient x minus 2 plus the remainder, which is given as minus 2x plus 4. Now we need to find out what's g of x. It's normal algebra. We will move this term onto this side of the equal sign. So the plus will become minus. So we are left with x cubed minus 3x squared plus x plus 2. When we move the term on the other side, it will become minus 2x plus 4 equal to g of x times x minus 2. We can open the bracket over here. So x cubed minus 3x squared plus x plus 2 minus 2x becomes plus 2x. Minus times plus 4 is negative 4 equal to g of x. This remains as it is. We simplify. X cubed remains as it is. Minus 3x squared, there is no other like term. X plus 2x is 3x. 2 minus 4 is minus 2 equal to g of x times x minus 2. Now g of x will be equal to this polynomial divided by x minus 2. So g of x will be x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 2 divided by x minus 2. And of course we have learnt in the previous slides how to divide one polynomial by the other polynomial. Just divide it and get the quotient. So when we divide, to find the first term of the quotient, x cubed divided by x, it will be x squared. So the first term of the quotient is x squared. Carry out the division process. X squared times x is x cubed. Minus 2 times x squared is minus 2x squared. Subtract. Minus 3x squared plus 2x squared is minus 1x squared. Bring down the other two terms. To find the second term of the quotient, minus 1x squared divided by x, which is going to be minus 1x. It's same as minus x. Carry out the division process. Minus x times x is minus x squared. Minus 2 times minus x is plus 2x. Subtract. And we get plus 3x minus 2x is x. Bring down this negative 2. To find the third term of the quotient, x divided by x, which is 1. So plus 1. If we carry out the division process, x times 1 is x. Minus 2 times 1 is minus 2. Subtract. And the remainder is 0. So x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 2 when divided by x minus 2 is x squared minus x plus 1. So when we divided the polynomials, we got the quotient as x squared minus x plus 1. So we found out that g of x is equal to x squared minus x plus 1. So I hope you have understood this lesson on division algorithm of the polynomials. You can find the other zeros of the polynomial by dividing the polynomials. In this lesson, we learned how to divide two polynomials. We learned how to find out the other zeros given a zero of a polynomial. We also learned what is the division algorithm of the polynomial. Please subscribe and share this video and join the mission of helping you learn. Thank you.